Hey, folks, welcome back to Chris White After. This is Chris in central Pennsylvania with breaking news update out of South Africa, where the Democratic Alliance, the official opposition, their party leader, John Steenhuisen, has tabled a motion of no confidence in President Cele Ramaphosa's cabinet of crooks and freeloaders. This motion was tabled today by Steenhuisen and does not include any motion to remove Ramaphosa. During his State of the Nation address recently, Cele Ramaphosa talked about building a capable state, but according to Steenhuisen, he's unwilling to walk away from cadre deployment. Those who are objective observers of South Africa's political situation know full well that cadre deployment is simply a patronage mechanism instead of putting competent people in places. Ramaphosa's current executive, which includes himself, 28 ministers, 34 deputy ministers, and the deputy president, David Mabuza, is among the largest in the world. In fact, it's huge. Down significantly from Jacob Zuma's cabinet, which had something like 64 ministers. Nonetheless, it's ridiculous. It's too large. Steenhuisen described the cabinet as a massive jobs for cadre scheme where no one is too corrupt, too lazy, or too useless to land one of these plus jobs. Let me say that again. A massive jobs for cadre scheme where no one is too corrupt, too lazy, or too useless to land one of these plus jobs. I'd have to agree entirely with that. He went on to say that almost no one on your executive would be employable in the private sector. And frankly, some of them should be behind bars. In fact, a lot of them should be behind bars. Steenhuisen went on to say, you stand up in your State of the Nation address and you talk about building a capable state, but you're not prepared to walk away from the very essence of state capture and the incapable state, the ANC policy of cadre deployment. Spot on, Mr. Steenhuisen. It's about time this sort of language is coming out of the opposition. It's long overdue. Steenhuisen also added, clearly, you know your cabinet cannot be trusted to get things done. You've effectively admitted that by setting up a parallel state in your own office, taking control of state intelligence is an example of this. Yeah, the administration of Cele Ramaphosa has taken, in effect, many of the reins of government execution into the office of the executive so that they do things themselves, they control things. They don't trust their ministers. Now, of course, Ramaphosa can't remove his cabinet. He is and has always been a particularly weak figurehead sitting in office to stroke his fragile ego, not to meet the needs of South Africans. As Ramaphosa and all previous South African presidents from the ANC are fond of proclaiming, they are president of the ANC first. South Africans are tertiary concerned to self-enrichment and party power. Steenhuisen said, you see your job as holding together this ragtag mob of crooks and freeloaders, even if it means the destruction of our country. Well, hear, 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 hear. Spot on, 100%. Accountability is something you only talk about because actually doing something about it would mean firing most of your cabinet and upsetting your cadre. As we all know, you'd rather be a weak president than do that. Well, the bottom line is this, and I made this point clear in December of 2017, and then again in early 2018 when he became president, that Cele Ramaphosa is a weak figurehead. He barely managed to get control of the ANC and win that party Congress, in which he won by a mere 70 votes. 36 votes in the other direction out of several thousand votes for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, and she would have become president of the ANC and therefore, by default, president of South Africa's bizarre political system. He's been weak all along. This is why you see his cabinet full of Zuma stalwarts, corrupt officials, part and parcel of the state capture era, who remain in office. And the internal fighting within the ANC has been their primary focus, not governance. And you see it in daily life in South Africa, where the country is collapsing under excessively high rates of taxation on petrol, efforts to cripple the energy economy, kowtow to Beijing by giving tax-exempt international zones where only the Chinese operate. For what basis? Undermining South African industry, shipping industry abroad to China. Steenhuisen promised Ramaphosa that the DA would support Ramaphosa on reform. What reform? What does that mean? Reform is not the answer in South Africa. Collapse has gone too far under the ANC. Deconstruction is the path forward before the country implodes into open civil war among ANC cadre factions. That's the path forward. Deconstruction, the removal of racist, systemically racist, broad-based Black economic empowerment programs, the total disavow of the anti-Human Rights Declaration, expropriation of property without compensation. These are two first steps that the African National Congress must take. Then it must begin to hold people accountable for the crimes they've committed, or fire people for their incompetence, people like Cele, Ronnie Lamola, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, a host of incompetent, teat-suckling leeches on South African society who've accomplished nothing in nearly 3 decades of governance except enrich themselves, stroke their egos, and ensure that generations of poor South Africans, especially Black South Africans, lived in abject poverty with Bantu-like education in which people are not uplifted, but they suffer immensely. Now, this motion no confidence, if we're to go forward, has to be processed by the speaker before it can be considered for consideration, scheduled for consideration. But let's be honest about this. The motion has little chance of success. The National Assembly is who decides on a motion or a vote of no confidence. The African National Congress holds 230 of the 400 seats in the National Assembly, including those 28 ministers who are also members of parliament. Now, we've come close. What you need is 201 votes to remove an official who faces a vote of no confidence in parliament. In August 2017, a vote of no confidence, a secret ballot, first secret ballot, they tried to make people vote by hand so that ANC could excoriate any of their members who were disloyal. But a secret ballot, which is how these votes should be done, in August 2017, nearly passed, falling just 3 votes shy, 198 to 177, no confidence for Jacob Zuma. 20 members abstained. This means that a significant number, at least 30 African National Congress MPs voted to remove Jacob Zuma. But that is not going to be the case in this current situation. The current composition of the National Assembly is the ANC with 230 seats, the DA with 84, the Economic Freedom Fighters 44, and Cadre Freedom Party 14, and the Freedom Front Plus with 10 seats. Now, altogether, the opposition parties hold only 170 seats. That leaves them 31 seats shy of the vote of no confidence. In order for these members of the cabinet to be sacked, everyone must vote, and 31 ANC members must join all opposition parties. But the reality is that some of those opposition parties will vote to keep the ANC corruption train going. A host of smaller parties are also there, but altogether, the opposition parties hold only 170 seats out of 400. You need 201 to remove an official. Under normal circumstances, with party loyalty being paramount to Luthuli House and the key consideration for selecting cadres for government office rather than competence, Ramaphosa would be at little risk here. However, his endless failures and the jeering, which we heard during his State of the Nation address this week from his own members of parliament, should give Ramaphosa pause on the issue. If he ignores Steenhuisen's motion, he risks alienating a few legitimate African National Congress members of parliament who seek a safe and prosperous South Africa. If he acquiesces and sacks a few members of his cabinet, his tenuous hold over the ANC may collapse, and he's likely to find himself facing a well-earned no confidence vote, in which members of the radical economic transformation movement are potentially likely to vote to remove him from office and not see that as disloyalty to the ANC. This fight between the radical economic transformation segment of the ANC and others is genuine. Now, the most likely outcome here is for just more of the same. The motion will fail. Ramaphosa will prove to be the callow figurehead that he is and not sack any of his thoroughly incompetent or deeply corrupt ministers. This means that South Africa will continue to decline, parliament's inaction, continuing poverty, rampant crime, and a free pass from Western democracies, as well as Beijing getting deeper inroads into South Africa's economy and its resources, elite enrichment, and ultimately an eventual African National Congress internal civil war. That's the reality here, folks. The ANC doesn't govern for South Africans or for their benefit. It governs for itself. Luthuli House is loyal to Luthuli House, not South Africa, not South Africans, be they white, black, colored, or Indian. They don't care. Their loyalty is to Luthuli House. And that's how they pick members of parliament, based on how loyal they are to the party. That's how they pick members of the provincial legislature and municipal councils. Loyalty is paramount. That's what matters most here. In sacking his cabinet, Cyril Ramaphosa would show that he's disloyal to the ANC, and it would mean the end of his presidency. So Cyril Ramaphosa finds himself in a sticky wicket right here. This is a tough situation for him, but it's well-earned. It's well-deserved. Folks, if you're not a subscriber to Chris White Africa, hey, why not become one? You get access to independent journalism, objective analysis of events in South Africa and across the continent of Africa, and the actors who influence events in Africa right here on Chris White Africa. Be sure to smash the like button right below the video and become a subscriber if you're not one already. And feel free to share this link with anybody out there that you'd like to. Cheers, folks. Take care of yourself. Have a lovely day.